One color of the sun is replaced by another. Checkpoint passed. Time to reach my workplace. Time to work. Time to produce work. Time to talk with colleagues. They already think I'm equal with them. They gossip about the boss, talk about their families. They share with each other their successes and failures. Today, they especially talk about the news, since they saw it on TV yesterday. It was the launch into orbit of a research ship. Objectives of the research are not specified. But after conversations, I understand the company is directly related to these studies. I wanted to know the details of their participation, but the workers stopped talking and changed to another topic when I approached them. I think they didn't accept me fully as a colleague, and they didn't want to violate company policy. Okay. And it goes that way in every company where I've worked. Oh, he's a contractor, so everybody thinks he's a bum. Oops. Oh. We'll save. Nowhere did I really fit in with the team. It is good to know that I can just right-click to save. And I left as soon as my project ended. Sometimes former colleagues wanted to contact me. Even called. But I did not answer them. I don't know why. My need for communication was minimal. The only thing that I was able to hear from their discussions is something connected with Frost. But it doesn't help me to get full information. They don't have Google in 2157? Last I noticed the window is like... Gonna bug me. Gonna bug you now too that I pointed it out. Suck it. Get off at the break. Spend a break. To think about spending an evening. Feel that today the sun is moving more slowly than usual. Get back to the workplace. Entertain myself with food. To participate in the meeting. To talk with the customer. The bulk of the work has been done already. The artificial intelligence and the prototype of the outer shell has been made. Oh, maybe the mold thing, maybe they're actually like robots? Robots? We shall see. The desire of the customer was unusual. He didn't want to change anything in the original object. He wanted a full copy of his wife. He wanted the copy without the basic ideal inherited to molds. The purpose for which it is necessary he has not clarified beyond what was stipulated in the contract. Although he did say holograms earlier, so... I don't know. We'll find out. We arranged a meeting with his wife tomorrow, and I would start digitizing of her image. Is he just going to kill his wife? The customer? It would not be an easy task, because the customer needed an exact copy. It will not be possible to work on a flaw for the improvement of the original object, as I usually did it. Anyways, the work is coming to an end. The task will not take much time. Dream about the end of the day. Stop working. Watch my colleagues leave their jobs. I think something was lost in the verbiage in translation, but that's fine. Say goodbye, and to wish good evening to every one of them. Wait until the roads are free, so as not to sit meaninglessly in a traffic jam. That's smart. To dream. People say outside of the city there are times when there is no sun in the sky. Yeah, they're in a dome or something. Everything becomes dark, as in the room with a closed door, but the sky does not remain empty. There's another circle in the sky. It is called the moon. Books I've read. It looks like a circle. While it is in the sky, it radiates some light. But I don't have anyone who can confirm or deny this statement. Those who are lucky enough to go outside the city don't have an opportunity to disclose what they have seen. Or maybe I don't know anyone who has been there. I was so intrigued by this topic that I found some old non-digital books devoted to this issue. Covers of books don't coincide with their contents. I get a feeling they've been protected from somebody. Likely, it was connected with the cleaning of the sources of information held in the paper books. Oh, great, so there's been like a info purge at some point. From these books I learned there was something like the night in the city too, but it was before the incident. That's never good. The concept of the night was not described, so I've included that it was absolutely common, with no need to explain. There was no explanation what the incident is. There was very little information in the books, besides the fact that chronologically it dates back to the early years. Both terms were not used even once in the digital books. That is true. I've created a modification of the system which checked each of these books. By the way, it's time to go home. Close the room. Go down the stairs. Say goodbye to security. Go outside. Decide how to spend the evening. Okay, let's go for a walk. I started to carry this order. I love to spend the evenings aimless wandering around the city. I'm gonna Save that there, just in case this is a bad choice. Oop, no, I don't want settings. Before, I did not even think it would be that it could be so fun. The fresh evening air, there are crowds of people rushing home after work, and street idlers like me on the streets. They are lost and bewildered over how the city has changed. After a long time spent in the four walls of my apartment, I stopped to recognize the streets. There were small changes in my quarter, but if you walk a couple blocks to the side, you'll be caught in a very strange place, filled with new houses and people you haven't seen before. It never ceases to amaze me. I often spend my evenings walking through these streets, and every time, I find something new and lose something old. Views I've never seen can appear suddenly from the old corner. The street with a dead end turned into a multi-lane road, surrounded by skyscrapers. Is the city a hologram? During these walks, I feel like a tourist visiting an unknown city and exploring it with pleasure. I can't find the places which I can tie with my memories. TNAI? This will get weird. Are we in the Matrix? Are we in the Westworld? I don't know what's going on. There are no buildings where I have been. There are no companies where I have worked. And I can't meet the people I know. There are no traces that could explain what happened with all of them. Maybe they moved through their life, like ghosts leaving no trace. They are also looking for me and can't find any clues. They try to come to my home, but they see another high-rise or high-speed highways in the place where my house used to be. They call me at home, and instead of answering, hear that this number does not exist. This is get weird. Maybe I moved through life. Ghost leaving no trace. It wasn't easy to answer these questions in this constantly changing city. People I speak with about this don't know the answers, and then they disappear. Then I began to ask myself these questions. It started not long before I switched to freelancing. So who am I fooling? I just left my work and started sitting at home, trying to answer these questions, at least for myself. I read everything I could find in the system. I tried to find some evidence that I was not losing my mind. What information I could find disappeared after some time. There were only two alternatives. I went crazy, or the city changes faster and faster. The discovery stunned me. I was laying in bed staring at the ceiling. I expected to figure out the moment when the city had changed. I expected the color of the sun didn't hide the moment of the change. I closed all the windows in the flat. When I moved away to eat or use the toilet, the system used a camera recorded on a ceiling. A camera recorded a ceiling on the video in order to capture the transformation of the ceiling into something else. Oh, I see. He left the camera. Okay. Again, don't think English was the creator's first language, but translation mostly works. Oh, we've definitely gone through clumps here. Ancient pattern, color, or something else may indicate changes. So the days passed. Then the weeks. Months followed by weeks. The ceiling hasn't changed, but my money was coming in the end. I was in despair. I guess the ceiling is, I guess he's got a skylight. Of course, I knew that I behaved like a madman, but I did not want to go completely mad, so I turned on the broadcast news to hear something while watching the ceiling. Perhaps the remnants of reason have not left me. One night, I lay and listened to the broadcast of the latest news, and they made the first mention of the technology of molds. I remember how this blatant advertising sounded in news broadcast. Still using radios, apparently. With cassette players, apparently. The game did tell me to enter the first cassette. Huh. Raise yourself in this endlessly and rapidly changing reality. Book a mold of yourself and members of your families to never lose each other. And even make each other a little better. It was like a punch in the head. It seemed that the speaker gave me a wink. There wasn't a coincidence. I was sure, and my mind was inflamed by having observed the ceiling for a few months. I jumped out of bed, felt acute pain in the whole body for lying motionless for a long time. I rushed to my desk on staggering legs. The system helped me to search for all the information of this subject. There was a little part of information at that time. This industry was just beginning its emergence. The interest in this technology between users was like a tsunami. And then I realized one thing. I'm going to do it. The second little thing, apparently, I'm not crazy. If at the first mention of molds I was so interested in them, then other people would feel the same. After all, the mold is the evidence that the person that was the basis of mold was real sometime. After all, the mold is an attempt to make something permanent besides the ceiling above the bed. These words of the speaker were a response to the questions that led me to this condition. I became the person lying in bed and staring at the ceiling. No matter how silly it sounds, these words became a turning point in my life. I began to work a lot, started to construct the simple molds. They would only answer to the questions that were given before. I moved further and further away. Started to get the first orders, and was able to even buy a simple meal. I hadn't a great success, but it was enough for a living. Did not tell anybody about my past life, and cut off all questions with a special point in the contract. Also, I didn't tell anyone about the changes I see around myself. Though I was not sure that I wasn't crazy, and if it was true, staying without a job and food would not improve my mental state. The molds calm me. They are immutable, like the sun. What a great proof of existence they may be, if not the constancy of this existence. The sun never changes, and I have no doubt that it exists there. Dave. It also conducts a silent countdown of variable colors. It doesn't ever go astray. It changes the colors with a second punctuality, day after day, year after year. As long as I remember, it has never violated its regulations. But back to the present after this excursion into the history of my mind.